Hi folks, welcome back. This is another Unity Playground tutorial looking at how to do attacks. If you're joining this video as the first in the series, there's a link below to a tutorial that will help you get started on setting up a 2-player ground and asteroid so that you can have a matching interface. But if you're familiar with all of this, you can go ahead and create a character with move, jump, polygon collider 2D, and rigid body on it, and you should be able to implement all the things that we're going to do today. So this tutorial we're going to bring in a sword. So I've got a little pixelated sword down here, and just to let you know what that is, I have an 8x8 pixel image that is simply black squares, black pixels to make a sword that I've saved as a PNG that will come through using transparency. All right, once you've made that sword and you've dragged it into your project folder, you should be able to also change. I've been using 16 for my resolution. I always change everything to point no filter for this pixel-based work, and RGBA 32-bit, and hit apply so that it shows up a little bit better. Let's go ahead and drag that into the scene, and that looks like it's going to be a good size for our characters. So fabulous. Okay, so what we need to do, we've already done shooting and we've already done foot stomp, and what we're now going to do is we're going to add, just like the others, we're going to add to our character prefab, but we're going to add the sword. But in this case, we're going to turn it off and then turn it on when you pick up the sword. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my player character. And when I'm in the player character, I'm going to go ahead and grab the sword and place it in the scene. Then I'm going to zoom in and make sure that it's looking like it's a good fit. That looks like it's a good fit. Okay. Now, I have the sword in the scene. It looks like I might have 2 swords. I'm going to name this one Blue Sword. And now I'm going to turn it off by unclicking the box in the inspector. I'm going to go back and hit save, and it is currently off. So now I'm going to take this sword, and if you haven't already dropped one in the scene, go ahead and drop one in the scene. And I'm going to set this up so that it has a box collider 2D on it. And when we pick up the sword, we're going to turn on the sword in our character. So that box collider I'm going to set to is trigger. I'm going to add a component of condition area because we're going to overlap the sword, and then things are going to happen, and those things are going to be that I am going to turn on and off. And first I'm going to turn on and off myself, which is the sword. I'm going to drag the sword in there. So this particular instance I'm going to turn off. And now I'm also going to add a second one of on-off action. And I'm going to turn on the blue player, blue sword. Now to get a little bit more specific, because I'm turning on this character sword, I am probably going to want to filter by tag and set it to player. And if you have multiple people, multiple players who can pick up this sword, you might have a different condition area that is checking for each of their tags. So it could be that both players rush to pick up this sword, and the first one there picks it up. Or if the way that your gameplay is set up, you could have swords that are only able to be picked up by certain players. Okay, so let's go ahead and test this. So my character moves over to the sword. When I touch the sword, it turns off the sword that was the sprite that I could pick up, and it turns on the sword that's in my hand. Now, I can also shoot my fireball from a previous tutorial to get rid of that asteroid. And now my idea is when I get close to the other player, when my sword overlaps that player, it's going to do damage to them. So let's set that up. So we're going to go into our prefab for blue player. We're going to pick our sword. We're going to add a component of Box 2D Collider. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this on so that we can see it. And so that box is going to be this shape. If that makes sense for you, that's fine. If you don't like the fact that it's not actually super specific to the sword size, you can use polygon, but I'm just going to go ahead and use the box for now. Once we have this, I'm going to add modify health. And modify health will subtract -1 from anything with a health system. And it might make sense for me to tag this as part of my player, so that if I'm doing damage to something else, it could help me understand that the win condition, the winner is the player. Save that. Let's go ahead and test it. Oh, I forgot to turn off the sword. Ha! Go back into the prefab, blue sword, uncheck that, go back and save the prefab. Press play. The sword will now be off. I can now pick up the sword. I shoot my fireball, and now when I go up and bump into him, I'm doing damage. More damage, and I have eliminated player 2. Okay, so that's a real quick and easy way to have a object as a sword that you can pick up and then utilize as a weapon. In a future tutorial, I might also have it set up so that it's a sword swing. So you pick up the sword and then you can only do attacks on a certain frequency rather than just running into someone with a sword that is always there. Okay, hope that has been helpful for your projects. If you run into problems, let me know in the comments and I'll try and make sure that this works for you.